Hey, I think we're live. How is everyone doing? Okay, let me make sure we're on Do Not Disturb this time so no phone calls intrude on the live stream. I was just reading some actually really exciting news before we started this. I think I kind of want to save, I get it's very difficult to actually complete. I gotta scoot over a little bit. You know what? I'm a little cut off. There we go. Hey everyone, Jordan Jackson, the Mythical Bolt, Adam, Chris, Hunter B, Apple Sheeple, Adam, Ahmed. Wow, what's up? It's too late? No, it's not too late depending on what country you're in. How's everyone doing tonight? How are we doing? I know I can't completely abandon all iPhone 8 news. I'm talking about it on Twitter though. When I see new reports, I usually tweet on it or respond. Hello, Daniel. Hello, Aaron Miller. Doing math homework. Yeah. Well, the most exciting thing I was reading just before I started this live stream was that actually there's a HomePod firmware leak. There's a leak in the HomePod, which sounds like a Martian sentence. I don't get that. But there's a report saying that the new iPhone edition will have 4K at 60 frames a second, which is already insane. Like 4K at 60, that's the first time I believe that's happened on a smartphone. There may be some abstract one I've never heard of, or the red hydrogen one that'll do that. But then it also says it will be on the front and back. And I have a really hard time believing that. First of all, that camera's tiny, so, it's hidden within that little cutout on the top, the notch. I don't feel like they could fit 4K at 60 on that thing, but honestly, I would be impressed if they could just fit 1080p at 60 on that front-facing camera. If they could do that, I'd be majorly happy, because then I could finally vlog my daily life while actually seeing what I'm vlogging. So even if that happens, I'd be grateful. But I feel like they might be reading things wrong if they think that there's 4K at 60 on the front and rear. I think maybe they're mixing up, there's two cameras that have 4K at 60, and they're not addressing that that's the dual camera. The telephoto lens can do 4K at 60, and the wide-angle lens. I think that's what they might be reading into. I don't know exactly what the firmware suggests, but I really, if it is 4K at 60 on both, that's amazing. I would love that. Okay, 1080 and FaceTime. Yes, that would be great. Sorry for not checking the Discord recently. Life has been very, very busy. Today, I spent mostly working on Project Photon, which again, can't talk about, but very excited for. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the main channel, simply called Tailosive with the black T. That's where Project Photon will be posted. But I'm very tired from that, so forgive me if I feel a bit more lazy in today's live stream. If I show less energy, I apologize. But it's also 11 o'clock at night, and it's been a long day. So, anyway. The code said front and back camera supported 4K at 60. Man, that's so hard to believe, though. Don't you think it'll be like some kind of compressed form? Or maybe they figured out that new file format, in iOS 11 that says they can write data a lot smaller. It's only available if they do it that way because they don't have to write as much data. I don't know. But I'm curious. Can you give me an iPhone 6s or 7? Unfortunately, no, I cannot. Yes, that's the format. H.265. Oh, someone's asking. People are still doubting that they could actually figure out 4K at 60 on a smartphone, because that hasn't happened yet, as far as I know. So that's still quite a stretch. And if it is true, then defending the new iPhone will not be a hard thing to do for me, because that's something I've wanted for a long time, and my DSLR cameras can't even do that. So if someone actually said this smartphone can do it, man, that would change the way I use my phone. How are you? As I mentioned, I'm tired, but thanks for asking. Casey the Human says, do you think the iMac Pro will exclusively come in just space gray? Yes. Also, why do you think Apple doesn't pick 4 to 6 colors a year and put them on each device instead of specialty colors on random stuff? Yeah, clearly, it feels like all of the heads of each department, the head of the Apple Watch department, the head of the iPad department, the head of the iPhone department, they all got in a boardroom together one day. They all sat down with Tim Cook and said, hey, let's not coordinate. and then they left. That's what it feels like, because now, for the first time ever, we're finally reaching a point where there's space gray other things. Space gray used to be just about the iPhones. Now we got a space gray watch. Now there's space gray MacBooks. And now there's a space gray desktop, the iMac Pro. So they're finally breaching into the space gray market. But now there's no space gray iPhone. Now there's only matte black and jet black, which aren't on anything else, and they both look good, but they don't want to match that on every other thing. And then there's a new release of iPad Pros, and I thought, oh, maybe if they're unveiling new iPad Pros, they'll add matte black and jet black. Even though it'd be really scratchy, we'd still have that option if we wanted it. But no, they stick with their same colors. And then like with the 12-inch MacBook, we've got space gray gold, rose gold, silver, but then with the MacBook Pros, we just go silver, space gray. That's it. It's like they don't want to talk to each other about the problems. Like, I know it wouldn't be a noticeable change, but I think a matte black Apple Watch would also look really cool. Like, not space gray, but like the black aluminum is the same black as the glass. I think that would look good, but they haven't done that yet, as far as we know. So either way, maybe they use both of the front-facing cameras to work together to get 4K at 60. I get what you're saying, but no. I don't think that would work, because if you're recording... What you're kind of saying is that they're recording like 30 frames a second from each camera. Because you can't say that they're both recording at 60 and then they stitch them together, because the lenses are... they're not perfect squares. They're rectangular. So it's... I don't think that's how it would work. Plus, if you were doing 30 FPS on both sides, your image would be distorted because you'd be getting two perspectives the whole time. So, I don't think that's how it is. Yeah, good morning. Yeah, people ask, am I excited for the iPhone 8? Look, I'm excited for this thing to be over, honestly. The hype for this year's iPhone has been through the roof ever since before the iPhone 7 came out. I'm just looking forward to the time where every morning the new headline for Apple is not some new leak for the iPhone. I'm getting sick of that. I'm ready for different news. I'm ready for the news to be a little more diverse than just, oh, the iPhone will have this, oh, it won't have this, oh, it will have this. It just keeps changing all the time. I'm sick of it. I'm excited for the rumors to be done and for us to just know what it is so we can stop theorizing. Okay. Buenos dias, Jacob. No dislikes. Keep it like that. Oh, because I read that, now people are going to dislike. How do you pre-order iPhone 8? Aggressively. Drew, the hype is never over. iPhone 9 videos will come a week after the edition. I don't like it either, but I doubt it'll change. I honestly think it'll be a little different. It's crazy that I'm about to talk about this, but we already know a little bit about the iPhone 9, even though I know it won't be called that. But next year's iPhone, we already know that it'll be similar to this year's edition, except it'll come in two different sizes, neither of which being the same as this year's. One will be like a 5.2-inch display, so it'll be a small version of the edition. And one will be like a 6.4-inch display, and it'll be like the 9 Plus, and it'll look like the edition but just be bigger. So I don't think that's as drastic as a change as this year's. I think the reason the hype is so high is because people only care about display changes. If the display doesn't change, then it's not an upgrade. The people only are acknowledging that this year is going to be big because first, it's the first time they're removing the physical home button. That's kind of a big deal for iOS because they've never done that before. It's the first time we're seeing like a noticeable design change. We're switching from iPhone 7 basic design, and we've kind of held the same footprint of iPhone for the past 3 years. We're finally changing that footprint. It's a pretty big step forward, and I think next year's iPhone won't be as massive of an upgrade. It'll be just two different sizes of an iPhone we already have, and I don't think the hype surrounding that, I don't think we're going to be debating all year what's going to happen with Touch ID. I think we're going to have a pretty good idea of the future of Touch ID once we find out the status of Touch ID on the next iPhone. once we find out that they removed it and are in favor of Face ID on everything, then you can probably just bury your rumors that they're going to embed it into the display on the next one, because they're going to say Face ID is better and they don't have to do that. And other than that, design-wise, it's going to look pretty similar, of course, other than just being smaller and bigger. So that's why I don't think next year's is going to be as big. Of course, it'll still be there, but not as massive. How's your morning going? Well, it's not morning for me yet. It's 11:17, but I hope I can reach a new demographic. Jay Hall's asking, will HomePod include a headphone jack? And the answer is no. I've looked, and Charles, congratulations, you've become a patron. I'm thank you for your support. Anyway, I've looked at the HomePods when they were unveiled at WWDC, and there's only one port on the entire thing, and it's just like an iMac. It just has a power cord. Plugs into the back, you plug that into the wall, and that's it. There's no other ports, there's no cables. There's just the power cord. That is it. I'm going to buy the iPhone 7 Plus in November, so matte black or jet black? Okay, as long as it's in November and you save some money. Audio is off. There's nothing I can do about that, sadly. Refresh if you can. I like jet black, but I'm not worried so much about it scratching because I know a new iPhone's coming out at the end of the year. So go ahead and go matte black. Why do you think they're unveiling 3 new iPhones rather than saving them for later? Because they know they gotta treat the people as something. I think they understand that the hype for the next iPhone is so huge that they can't release 1 or 2 iPhones because the demand for it will be so high. It'll be unpredictably crazy on how the sales are. So I think they're not actually making 3 because they want to. They're making 3 because they have to. They know that if they make the premium iPhone, the edition, the one we're all talking about, demand for that is going to be incredibly high, so they make it more expensive and make the iPhone 7S, which is not too terribly different, but pretty good, and the price will be lower, and they're trying to spread out the demand because they know, like with last year when you just unveiled 2 iPhones, one of them is the one everyone wants, and that one was such in high demand that they were basically not available on launch date. So they have to make 3 iPhones this year so that demand spreads out a little bit, so that the people who just want a new iPhone, they don't need lack of bezels, they don't need remove Touch ID, they just want the basic 7S, they can buy that, and the people who want the luxury edition can buy that and pay extra for it, obviously. What do you think the aspect ratio for the iPhone edition will be? The resolution leaked online, but I don't have it memorized yet. It's a weird one. It's 25 something by 11. I just know that the pixels per inch is going to go into the 500 range. The PPI will be much higher than it is now. Apple Watch with SIM card, yes or no? Sage, that's one rumor that's holding pretty true. The idea that the Series 3, you'll be able to have your own separate data plan with it, so that you could actually leave your iPhone at home and take the Apple Watch with you, and you could still get texts and calls on it. But I feel like adding a SIM tray, not just a card, but like a tray to it, even if it is a small one, will hurt the waterproofing capabilities because this is 50 meters deep, and I don't think Apple's interested in that. So if they are going to have LTE support, I think it's most likely to be like a built-in card. It's not one that can come out. But I don't know much about SIM cards, so that's just what I'm theorizing. I feel like Apple Watch is way too small for it to have any kind of tray. What about Note 8 vents? It's a total danger to iPhone 8. I don't know what the vents means, but the Note 8 is going to be very attractive to Android users. I think it's going to steal the thunder away from the Google Pixel 2. I think the Made by Pixel team should be concerned about the Note 8. I don't think Apple's worried, though. Most people are not debating, should I buy iPhone 8 or Note 8? Like, the iOS loyalists know what they're going to get, and the Android loyalists know what they're going to get. It's not really, no one's really debating between those two options, but especially because they're such different phones. We know the edition is going to be much smaller than the iPhone 7 Plus, and we know that the Note 8 is going to be larger than the S8 Plus, so it's going to be like a whole nother level of phablet with a pen and still with Touch ID on the back and stuff like that, with an incredibly huge display. So they're not really in the same field. Plus the iPhone edition is going to be much more expensive. You think Pixel 2 would be any different? Yeah, it's gonna be different. It's not gonna be better. I'm just saying, the display is gonna follow what everyone else is doing this year. It's gonna go to 2x1, but it'll still have the biggest chin. It won't be as big as last year, but it'll still have the biggest bezels, um, of all the Android smartphones. And it looks like they're only gonna have one camera again. They're still not making that switch to dual cameras, even though everybody else is. It probably won't be IP68 water resistant. It'll be 67. It might have stereo speakers, and the biggest rumor is that it won't have a headphone jack, which I love. That's a big slap in the face to MKBHD, which, but it acknowledges that Made by Pixel just wants to make an iPhone version of whatever iPhone's coming out. Whoa. You hung up that Minecraft poster again, even after that guy paid you $100 to take it down? Well, he did, but I did take it down. He didn't say I could put it back up. And I offered to rip it up, but they said don't rip it up. So clearly, he doesn't want me to destroy it, but I don't want to leave the poster on the ground. So after the live stream, I was like, yeah, I'll just put it back. Do you think that there should be more colors for the MacBooks? Yeah, there should be more colors for everything in general. Just every product line needs more colors. Which camera is the best in your opinion, Samsung or Apple? Well, because I'm an Apple sheep, I get people saying that I will always say Apple. And to an extent it is, but I've played with the Samsung Galaxy cameras. They're amazing. It's a tough call. They're both good in different ways. SD card slot in iPhone 8? No. Oh, yeah, thoughts on the MKBHD video on the Red phone. That thing looks like garbage. It looks like a very, very expensive piece of crap. Like, it all of a sudden we don't care about bezels anymore. Like everyone every year is talking about how, oh, the iPhone 7 looks so outdated next to the ES8. Then the Red phone comes out and everyone's like, oh, this looks interesting. It's like, are you kidding me? That thing looks like a giant brick. It's enormous. He didn't even have a working model, and he's like, but I did film my reaction to the holographic display, and then his reaction is like, he's like not even like excited about it at all. It made me laugh. And then I saw that camera module he strapped onto the back of it. It looks so ugly. That thing is enormous. Oh, I feel bad for anyone who buys that thing. It's a joke. That was weird. iPhone 8 should have 3 lenses: normal lens, telephoto, and wide angle. Well, Gallus Tech, technically, the iPhone 7 Plus has 3 lenses. If you want to get technical, you got the front facing, got the rear facing too, but there's 3. But I don't think that they should have 3 on the back. That gets a little much. Why do you want USB-C on the next iPhone? Love your videos. Well, I want it because obviously it's better if USB-C is across everything, but that won't happen. We know it's Lightning. MKBHD dissed you on Twitter? Where? I want proof of this. Can someone tag me on Twitter and show me that he dissed me? I love being dissed. People said everything Apple Pro dissed me, but I never found evidence of it. I watch all of these guys' videos. I've never watched myself in reference. What would you say the best benefit of being in an Apple ecosystem is? Also, your videos are sick AF. Thank you. The best benefit is having technology that just works, and it works for you. I'm not having to work for the technology to do its job. That's my biggest problem with Android and Windows, is I feel like I have to fix it in order for it to work. I gotta tinker with certain settings. I gotta let Windows update every single time. Every time it goes to sleep, it has to update 100 more things. Then you turn on the computer and nothing's changed at all. It's just NSA spyware uploading your private data so it can sell it. And then with Android, you have to move around the app launchers and customizable layouts until you like it the way it is. Whereas Apple just says, nope, here's how it works. You're just going to learn it one way, and then you're going to learn it the right way. And I still think that the basic layout and interface of iOS is still far better than any customization you can do with Android. And knowing that there's this iCloud, keychain and AirDrop that is supportive across all its devices. If I want videos I took on my phone on my MacBook, I can share it like that. It's not a problem. Drew, if you got a Model 3, would you pay 10 extra grand for full autonomy? Yeah, I would. I was reading about that later. I found out that the Model 3 You have to pay like extra money for the full autonomy features, which I thought was kind of messed up. They were leading people to believe that everyone was going to get full autonomy no matter what. That wasn't true. But yeah, that would be a deal breaker for me if I didn't get those full autonomy features. If I'm buying a Model 3, I'm expecting it to be a car that can drive itself no problem in the future. I don't want something I have to pay extra for. Theory: what if Apple is leaking intentionally so that hype lowers, but Apple actually releases our dream phone? And since iPhone 8 is delayed, maybe Touch ID isn't in iOS 11 yet. If they're leaking intentionally to lower anticipation, it's not working, because the HomePod firmware updates are leaking new things every hour, like the 4K at 60, and here's what the phone will look like. Like, the fact that that's happening isn't making people lower their expectations. If anything, people are getting far too excited. That's why I'm not making videos about it. I've just decided to boycott that topic in general on my channel, just because I think it's crazy right now how explosive this news is. So I don't think Apple is intentionally leaking things, honestly. They know that hurts their sales of the iPhone 7. And if they are leaking anything, it would be those dummy models. But even that, I feel like, isn't something Apple would do. That's something a Chinese company did for publicity reasons. So, anywho. So people asking in all caps, saying, does the iPhone 8 have dual front-facing cameras for 4K 60 and have iris and face unlock? We don't know, and we won't find out till next month. All these are just leaks and rumors. Nothing, just because we found it in a HomePod firmware update does not confirm anything. It shows for good evidence, but it's still not guaranteed. Keep making iPhone 8 videos for the ad revenue? Well, speaking of ad revenue, I actually didn't make anything off of today's video about Apple's sales, because the moment I posted it and it was up for about 2 minutes, I got a copyright claim on it from Apple. Apple themselves claimed ownership of that video because my editor used a clip from apple.com in that file, and he even credited them. In the corner it says source from Apple. Apparently that was too long, and I got my first copyright claim. I've never had that on this channel once. So finally, they got to us. Apple claimed ownership of that video, and now I'm not making anything on it. So I talked to my editor about it. Yeah, it's kind of dumb that I've been making videos supporting Apple for over a year now and like full endorsing them. Yeah, I filed a dispute for it, but they don't answer you within 30. They have to. You expect an answer within 30 days, and 30 days from now, that video is not going to be getting any views anyway. So, I was pretty ticked off about that. That I've been helping this company I love so much for the past year, and this is what I get in return, is them taking my content and saying it's theirs. So that kind of pissed me off, because it's like, I didn't use their audio. It's still me talking. I credited them. Everyone knows where that where that footage is from. So it's not like that was me pirating anything. Why would you even pirate a video that's an advertisement promoting iOS 11? Why does that make a difference? And that's such a small portion of the video. So Apple like copyrights the entire video. They have complete ownership of the entire 100% of the earnings, but the content that they gave me the claim for was only like 4% of the entire project. Everything else was my research, my content, my commentary, and yet they get everything. It's dumb. It wasn't just a picture, it was like the footage they used of the iOS 11 demo, where they showed like all the how iOS 11 works on the iPad. That's all my editor used. Live stream. Apple Watch Series 2 or the next generation? Which should I get? You shouldn't get anything right now. Just wait for the new one to come out, then you can decide if it's worth it. Am I the only person that thinks he's cute? Yes. Drew, make that video skyrocket by editing it out, retitling it, and just put a new thumbnail on it. No, we're working on a tech channel right now that's like, it's like the fast food industry. I'm trying to make things as fast as I can, crank them out, push them out, just so you guys can watch them. And at this point, if there's a problem like that with a copyright claim, I just got to move on from it. I'm not going to take it down and then upload it again so everyone gets the notification. New from Tailosive Tech, and then they watch it. Like, I've already seen this. Just because I changed one thing. Like, I like Uncle Jerry. He says, Drew, they only made $45 billion. They obviously need your your video's money. Yeah, they're going to make about... How many views does it have? Like 12,000. They're going to make like $12 on it. The person who claimed copyright on your video is in... Yeah. No, I don't... Why don't they put copyright claims on, like, the Tech Racks channel where they just destroy all their products? Shouldn't they be more mad about that? Like, I've sold so many people on Apple. Like, I've convinced so many people to switch to Android. For anything, Apple should be paying me, and yet they take it. Make a fake rumor about a royal blue iPhone? Okay. Wait, when you get a copyright, can't you not stream for 2 weeks? That's if you get a copyright strike. This wasn't a strike. This doesn't put my channel in any danger. This wasn't at a point where, like, they could take down my channel if I'm not careful. A claim just means that a different party, which in this case Apple, saw or somehow saw that their content was used in my video, so therefore the video still plays in its entirety and it still shows up as views on my channel, but all the monetization of that video goes to Apple and not me. Which means all the work I did on that video goes to nothing. I don't make any money off of it, which is dumb. Quinton says, I'm your biggest fan. Wow, thank you. Should I get the AirPods first or the Apple Watch with iPhone 7 Plus? Apple Watch or AirPods? That's a tough one. I'm leaning towards AirPods just because that makes such a bigger difference in my life. But the Apple Watch will get to you faster. But either way, you should wait for the Apple Watch. Actually, if you got the AirPods now, they would get to you probably by the time the iPhone 8 came out. So there you go. It's going to be a dream week. You can get everything at once. Will you stream the iPhone 8 edition launch event? Yes, I will. I will be live streaming that. My reaction to that, just like WWDC, we're gonna do that whole thing all over again. And yes, I have updated Alphex to High Sierra. I really like it, actually. A lot of people said it was very buggy, but I've had no problems with it. It actually freed up a bunch of storage on my MacBook, which was really nice because I have a problem with that a lot. So that was nice. I don't know if everyone's experiencing that, but when I updated, there was like an extra 50 gigs or so of storage I could use, and that was great. But yeah, I know you want a video on High Sierra. The problem is there's not that many differences with it. I get that there's a new file support system and that allows files to transfer faster, but I don't really have a Mac with me that I can compare you to and say, here's what Sierra did and here's what High Sierra did, because this is my one Mac. I know I got tons of old Macs in here, but I don't use those, and that's probably not a fair argument to compare a 2016 MacBook Pro to whatever the hell that is. So there's not enough changes in High Sierra for me to make a whole video about it. I don't notice if Safari is faster. Safari was plenty fast for me to begin with, so I wasn't timing it. Anon says go to AT&T website to buy AirPods for 3 to 5 days shipping. I've seen that. I've also seen AirPods on Amazon that can ship to you like refurbished. They're not brand new, but they'll feel brand new, and they can ship in like 2 to 3 days. So there's places to speed up the AirPods process. You think the iPhone 8 will come with AirPods? Asks Zach. I really hope so, but I'm not going to count on it. I don't think people should say, I'm not going to buy AirPods because the iPhone 8 will have them. Don't rely on it that heavily. It would be awesome if it did, but I still think that's too much money for Apple to include them with the purchase. I think that's too big of a jump. It'll most likely come with Lightning headphones and still the audio jack dongle. Do you recommend iPhone 7s or 7s Plus, and why? 7s Plus, it's bigger, it'll have 2 cameras. How do you think the next AirPods will be since these were first gen? What changes do you think they will based on criticism? I I still don't think we're going to see an AirPods refresh this year. We would be hearing about that in the HomePod firmware by now. If anything, they would change. Well, one obvious thing is I think they could provide more colors. People really have a demand for that. There's whole companies built on creating more diversity with the AirPods, like colorware and black pods. And they're competing with each other. If Apple would just make their own version of it, it'd be great. They might come up with a way for you to change your volume with the AirPods themselves. They might try to think of a way to make it hardware so you could like scrub on it or something. That's really all I can think of. I guess I know people say that they fall out of their ear because it doesn't conform to their ear, but AirPods are still selling incredibly well. So obviously, Apple has like AirPods that fit most people's ears. They understand that it's not all of them, but they're selling incredibly well, which means that they obviously work for enough people for it to make a big difference. Do you use the night shift feature on MacBooks? If not, try it. I don't think I do. I feel like I don't need to. That might waste battery life I don't need. But I could. I definitely could. How good is the Apple Pencil for taking notes? Very good. I was just using the bamboo pencil on my Air 2, but I found it harder to use than just writing on paper in class. What are your thoughts? Yeah, most styluses I've seen are not that precise when you're drawing on your iPad as the Apple Pencil, but that's because it's directly from Apple and it actually has like built-in hardware and software for the Apple Pencil to support it. But I took notes on it in high school, and that was amazing. They did a great job. How long until a MacBook refresh? Game Guy, they just refreshed them. First of all, they came out with these things in December. They're not even a year old. And then at WWDC, they updated all the internals. We got a ways. We got a long ways until there's new MacBook design and hardware upgrades. MacBook Pro specs. Okay, I'll list them too. I got the cheapest 15-inch MacBook Pro. So 2.6 gigahertz Intel Core i7, 16 gigs of LPDDR3 memory, Intel HD graphics 530 with 1,536 megabytes, and that's the one with the dedicated GPU and stuff. It's the cheapest 15-inch MacBook Pro you can buy. That's the one I got. How many Apple products do you own? Oh God, too many to count. Not too many, but just too many to count. It's piled up over the years. These are all iPods. Those are old Mac PowerBooks and old desktops. It's crazy. Apple Pencil doesn't work on current iPhones. No, it doesn't, and it never will, because you don't need a stylus on a smartphone. Use your finger. The stylus is so that you can draw and be specific. So you can tap exactly what you want to tap. iPhone display is so small that you don't need to be that precise. If your finger can't tap it, then it shouldn't be an option to tap. You think iPhone 8 will have a 4K screen? No. It'll have a higher resolution, but it will not be 4K. I think macOS needs a visual overhaul. That might be what they have to do, because for the last few macOS upgrades, it's mainly been internal, graphical upgrades, which has been great. But if they want to go somewhere with macOS, they might definitely have to switch over to like a what do you call it? A design refresh, so it looks a bit more like iOS, even more. What do you think Apple's next big thing is? A car, AR glasses, or something else entirely? I'm predicting the glasses. I think the car is still an uncertainty, but even if the car is happening, it's going to be a long time. Boy, I really hope the Series 3 does not include a camera. How long has it been since I've talked about that? The Apple Watch does not need a camera. That'd be bad. The angle you would get from your watch at this angle would never look good. No matter how many ways you hold your Apple Watch, the camera on it is not gonna get a good angle view. For those asking about the iPhone 8 having 4K at 60, really want it to happen. We won't know. There's a leak saying it will happen, but we cannot guarantee it. Do you jailbreak? No, I don't like jailbreaking. Tim Cook just discussed about autonomous vehicles and how autonomy can be used in more things than just cars. they're definitely experimenting with it. They've got cars on the road that are experimenting with self-driving tech, but the idea of them unveiling like their own custom-built car like Tesla does, that's at least 2021 or 2022 at the soonest. Whereas the augmented reality glasses, that's just like a couple years away. That might be 2019, if we're lucky, 2018, but that's not terribly far away. The car is a much bigger project. Think about this. Not only do you have to design a car, which is the largest device literally they would ever make in their lives. The biggest thing they've ever made is like the iMac, I think, physically. To go to the length of a car, with door handles and doors and the cameras around it and the interior and how it drives and the OS, all of that put together, you still need to talk about what charge stations do they use. Is Tesla going to fuel their competition by letting Apple cars be charged at Tesla stations? Like, that's a whole nother battle. And Apple might not ever get into it. It's totally possible that Apple might not ever actually unveil their own car and just be working on autonomous driving software to implement in other companies' cars. That's also totally possible. Whereas the augmented reality thing, I could see that happening in about 2 years. Promotion standalone Apple display hype train. That'd be neat. I heard they're working on a standalone display for the Mac Pro next year or 2019. That'd be neat if they put the 120 hertz thing on their own 5K whatever. That'd be cool. Guys, when is pre-order going to be available for the iPhone 8? Look, I review iPhone products. I am not Apple support. I don't know when the event is, but pre-orders will probably start a week after the event takes place. Probably. Or like that Friday. That's usually what happens. Come on, Drew. 7 or 7S? I've answered that. 7S. It'll be better. If you want to know plus or regular, get the plus. That's a dumb question. The Pixel 2 going to remove the headphone jack? I certainly hope so. That would be hilarious. I really want that to happen. It's almost midnight here. I am, by the way, I'm from Canada. Welcome from Canada, Cole. Welcome. Come on, Drew, tell me how you're feeling. I'm a little tired. Been working on Project Photon all day today. Still top secret. Still can't tell you what it is, but it is going to be on the main channel, so please subscribe to that. There's lots of channels you should subscribe to. Tailosive Talks, Tailosive Movie Reviews. There's lots of good ones. But it was a hard shoot today. It was very hot, and I think it's going to be awesome. I can't wait for you guys to see it all, but I'm very tired from Project Photon. He saw me. Wow, yes I did. Are you left-handed? No. I am a right-handed. I'm part of the mainstream, I think. I'm glad Apple killed the iPod. Yeah, I'm glad too. They needed to go. But they still sell them at retail stores. When I met my editor at the Apple store, they had the Nano and Shuffle there. I think they're just trying to sell all of their inventory. They're not going to just like burn them all. I think they should just take all the Nanos and Shuffles and just chuck them outside the store and say, yeah, they're free. Does YouTube pay you for live streams? No. That's just Super Chat. For those who don't know what Super Chat is, if you go on Safari, if you're on mobile, still go to Safari, find this live stream, you can find a little cash button at the bottom and people can send money to me. And if you do send a Super Chat, I have to answer that question because, there's 200 people watching, so it's a little difficult to read every single comment without being like, I want third generation iPod Shuffle. Will the Apple AirPods have a fine feature? Like, it would be redundant for me to read every single thing. So if you know how to Super Chat, I have to read that. Anyway. There is a scratch on my arm. It burns. I was literally scratched by a demon. I'm very sorry, Miguel. I'm very sorry. England is my city. Oh, God, don't bring that here. Okay, we got lots of Super Chats coming in. Okay, Groceries Reaction says, can I get iPhone 8 from TELUS or any other provider? Will it sell out? By the way, TELUS is Canada. Likely. Apple tends to support most of the Americas on the launch date, so that's a likely thing that'll happen. So yeah, I'm going to anticipate that Canada will be a part of the regular release, so TELUS will likely be supported. I don't know what that is, so if I'm wrong, I apologize, but thank you anyway. Thank you for your donation. Okay, Osiris Martinez says Apple growth is blind loyalty from uneducated people. I don't think it's that, honestly. Obviously, I'm going to disagree with you, but I've got a little bit more facts to back it up. I don't think everyone who buys into Apple is an idiot. That's the whole reason I started this channel. I started this channel because I think there's something Apple does right, and it's not about price, and it's not about specifications, because if that's how you dictated a good product, Apple would have died years ago. And still, they're increasing. Their sales are going up. They're doing great. My point is, major people who are not idiots buy into Apple because they know what they're getting. They know that if they buy this thing that they've never owned before, like a lot of people didn't wear watches, but they still bought an Apple Watch, they just knew that they would be satisfied with it. And I can't convince you if you are just focused on the belief that no, everyone who buys Apple is an idiot, they don't know why they're making mistakes. If they all bought Android phones, if they all bought Windows devices, their life would be so much better. You're wrong. Because I don't think people buy Apple products because they've never heard of anything else. There may be people out there like that, but it's clearly not true. I am part of this demographic. I know that, I understand that I have tried Android phones in the past, and I have tried to use Windows devices in the past, and they simply cannot do what I need them to. It's not an answer of who does it better. Sometimes it's just simply, it cannot do it. The Galaxy S8 could not. How long have we been live streaming here? Like 50 minutes. We've been live streaming for 50 minutes. That's something I do twice a week for my job. It is required for me to contact you guys, my audience, every single twice a week. There's a live stream. One in the regular hours, one at late night. That's what you're seeing now, to reach a wider demographic, because I want to interact with you guys. The Galaxy S8, Android's like best smartphone to date, with the best display, microphone audio, sounded awful. If you guys were subscribed back then, you know what I mean. Also, it would crash. We're not running beta software here. We're talking stock, not stock, but like straight from Samsung and Google partnership. Regular Android could not live stream longer than 30 minutes. It would crash. Microphone also sounded awful. I switch over to the iPhone because I can't do my job with the S8. People say the audio sounds way better. Also, we're running beta software on the iPhone 7 Plus right now, a phone that came out long before the Galaxy S8. We're running a beta version of Apple software on it and having less problems than Android was having. I like to back up all the photos and videos I take to Google Photos. It glitches out, can't do it. What's the problem? I paid $900 for this smartphone. It can't do what it advertised it could do. Pixel is like the stock Android. People say, well, you're buying Samsung, that's not what you want. The Google Pixel is supposed to be the premium Android device. Half the back is glass, but for no reason. First of all, no wireless charging, even though Samsung's been supporting that. One camera, even though other flagships are coming out with two, and even budget smartphones like the OnePlus 5, they have two cameras. And people even tried to argue with me on Instagram about how the Pixel is the fastest Android phone. It couldn't even realize that headphones were plugged in for 9 whole seconds. I would plug in something to the audio jack, which was placed in a poor place, by the way, because the Touch ID is in the upper third quadrant. So when you reach in your pocket, rest your finger there, lift it up, and it unlocks. But then you have to have the headphone jack turned around inside your pocket, so that's already messed up. Google Pixel flagship price, no headphones included with the purchase, no optical image stabilization, no 256 gig storage, and no expandable storage, which is something I thought Android fans would like, and giant chin on the front where you could put so many things. Fingerprint reader. Please watch my Pixel rant. So all I'm saying is there is so much wrong with the competition. There's a reason people go to Apple, and there's a reason a lot of people buy Apple but complain about them all the time, is because they know there's not a better way to do it. There's all these problems with my iPhone. I'm not gonna switch to anything else though, because I know I'd be even less happy. There you go. Let's see. Hey Drew, why didn't you make a video on the major iPhone leaks? They were found in the HomePod software. Okay, I thought I answered this question. I'll answer it again. All right, and again, if you want me to talk about something specifically, the super chat is the best way to get my attention. I have to read that. All right. The reason I'm not talking about the iPhone 8 leaks and rumors is because all I've made for the last couple of months are iPhone 8 leaks every 2 days, every day, for like a week sometimes, for like 2 weeks. All I'll talk about is all the new news. And I just think we're 1 month away, guys. Can't we just accept that we're going to know all this stuff for certain? It won't be rumor in a month. And if it's not going to be rumor in a month, then why talk about it now? Why theorize it? It's like sitting around the Christmas tree in November trying to guess what kind of presents you've got. And the leaks are technically you snooping. You're unwrapping your presents before they're even out. I just want to be somewhat excited for the next iPhone. Okay, I want to just not know a couple things so that when it comes out, we're not just going down a checklist. Did they do this? Did they do this? Yep, we knew that. That way, when it comes out, we're like, yep, that's exactly what we knew. So that's why I'm not reporting on it, because I feel like everyone is. I feel like every single tech channel out there has to report on that for the clicks. And for a while, yeah, I was reporting on nothing but iPhone 8 stuff just so I could get views. But at a certain point, I have to draw the line and say, I don't want to make these videos. Okay? I'm not interested in talking about the iPhone 8 more, because every leak flips, flops back and forth, and it's not verified yet, but we're only a month away from finding out the truth. So that's where I'm kind of boycotting the topic. Okay, I just want to talk about interesting things, and I feel like we've beaten that horse. We've beaten that horse to death. In terms of that hype train, it's far overdue, and people are going to be disappointed no matter what. Okay, another donation here. He's right. Apple ecosystem is unbeaten. I love my MacBook, iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch. AirPlay is great when you want to pirate on Apple TV. Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's not right, but I guess you have that option. For 7 Durka. Oh wow, he's in the chat. No laptop with me. No, look, you can anyone can super chat, even if you're on a phone or an iPad. If you open Safari and find the live stream through Safari instead of the YouTube mobile app, it'll work. I've tried it. So anyone can super chat. Will the Note 8 improve all the problems with the S8, and will you get it? The Note 8 is a maybe for me. I'm sure it's going to be a really cool Android phone, probably the best one yet, and I'd love to try it, but keep in mind I have a lot of expenses to pay for this year. There's the iPhone 8, that's for sure happening. That's not a question of if I'm going to review it. There's the Apple Watch Series 3, there's the HomePod, those are also for sure things. But I really want to review the iMac Pro. I think most of my audience is fairly excited for that product. I'm excited for that product. I think that's a big step forward for the iMac. And I'd like to review the Note 8, but it all depends on how the success of the channel goes. It depends on how generous people are on Patreon and in Super Chat, and how many views we get, and how much watch time I collect over the next few months. But it's a maybe thing. I'd like to review it, but I can't guarantee it. Do you think something like accident of the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 could happen to Apple at some point? By the way, hello from Guam. Oh, wow, all the way from Guam. That's impressive. Yeah, no, it definitely could happen, and that's why, like, if you guys have been watching me for a while, if you guys have been watching me for a while, you know that I make fun of the Note 7 for exploding, but honestly, if I'm being serious, that could have happened to anyone. And if that was happening to Apple with the iPhone, it would have been really sad, and I would have been incredibly upset that such a great phone had to be recalled. And it's really tragic that happened to the Note 7, because I reviewed it. For those who don't know, not as many people were subscribed back then. But when I reviewed the Note 7, I very much thoroughly enjoyed it. For a long time, that was like my favorite Android phone, of course, until I had to send it back. But of course, it didn't make me want to switch away from my iPhone. The iPhone is still better, and it's probably going to stay that way forever. But the Note 7 is a great phone, and most of them were perfectly safe. 99.8% of them were not explosive. Mine didn't explode, and most people who bought one didn't have it explode. So it was fine. It was great, and I think it's awful. And I think Samsung responded incredibly appropriately. You know, they apologized. They brought them back, and said, "Look, we care about safety. We're going to make sure we do this right." They take them all back and reorganized them, and you know they're selling the fan editions, which I thought was weird, but I guess legally they had to do something with the old models. But they made them extra safe with the smaller batteries, and I think now that Samsung is going to be more rigorous with battery testing, you know, being very thorough and safe with how they test everything in the future, that's great. I think that was very smart of them, and I respect Samsung fully. I know I diss on things that aren't Apple's, but honestly, that was a very appropriate way of handling it. And if Apple had a problem like that, I would totally respect it. I would expect them to do exactly what Samsung did. So I love what they did. My school is Apple oriented. Congratulations, you have a rich school. Do you think the Magic Mouse 2 is a good buy for students in university to use with their MacBook Pro, or is the touchpad fine? Okay, well, I have a Magic Mouse. I didn't get the Magic Mouse 2, but I wanted a mouse to use with my MacBook. But Magic Mouse 2 is very expensive, and especially if you're a college student, you don't need to commit $100 just for a mouse. What I did is I looked on Facebook yard sale, and found a used one, and it was $30, and I thought that was a bit more reasonable because I wanted it to be Apple certified. I've used third-party wireless mice in the past, and I could never find what I like, and I like being able to scroll sideways with the Apple trackpad. So, Apple mouse. So I got the regular Magic Mouse, the one that still takes batteries. That one works fine for me. You don't have to have that awkward lightning charger. So I don't think you need to go out $100. In Groceries Reaction says, never getting this money back. Wow. Okay. And yes, to answer your question, Files, it already is his full-time job, yes. YouTube is my full-time job. It takes up all of my time. Do you think Chromebooks are replacing cheap iPads? Ooh, that's a good question. Game Guy. This is something I think is interesting because... Okay, Durka, I'll answer your, I'll answer your question in just a second. And thank you for your donation, by the way. My parents started their own charter school, by the way, and they're trying to implement science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics into their school. That's like the primary focus. And they bought up a class set of used iPads because that's all they could afford, so that each classroom would have a set of them so they could do stop motion projects, work on their own like PowerPoint, keynote presentations on each one of them. They could write essays on them so that each class has its own dedicated computer lab. They don't have to all share one computer lab. Each class has its own. But they also invested in a bunch of really, really cheap Chromebooks, and they've discovered, having used both, at first spread it across all the different classes. They noticed that the Chromebooks were a lot cheaper, and they had that Google Classroom support, which they liked. But what they noticed is the Chromebooks have been incredibly not durable at all. They don't last. Okay, the kids are clumsy sometimes. That's just what happens in schools. And they've noticed that, an iPad, each student's iPad has like a rubber case around it, of course, and they try to protect the Chromebooks. But they noticed that if a kid drops a Chromebook, it's pretty much done. It won't make a comeback. Whereas an iPad can be dropped all the time. It's very durable, it's very sturdy. And with the Chromebooks, sometimes they'll just die unexpectedly. They'll be using them fine. Sometimes if you leave them plugged in too long, the battery will be killed. And the battery life isn't good on them, and they're, plasticky. So what my father has come to the conclusion of is, yes, if you wanted to start up a school with Chromebooks, it's gonna be cheaper, but you're gonna have to end up replacing them a lot in the future. And that's why they started investing. Like, they're in their third year. They just finished their third year of the charter school so far, and within that third year, they bought a separate a new refresh of iPads, and never like the brand new ones, because when they buy them in bulk, they get discounts and they buy the old ones. So they got like a school set of iPad Air 2s because they know that the Chromebooks aren't going to last. So they know that the iPad Air 2s are a bit more, but they don't have to mess with them anymore. Okay, and Durka, to answer your question, you've donated $800 in total, which is insane, and thank you for your support. And he says, my question is, what are you spending this money on? I will answer you directly. I am putting aside as much money as I can every single month from my Google check just to save for the next generation of Apple products that I'm going to review. So your money is going towards my work on YouTube, making sure that, every day of July, keep in mind, I was gone about 10, 12 days of July, and yet you got a new video every single day. So that's part of it. It's helping support me. The other part is I'm talking about things that are going to cost $1,100. Apple Watch Series 3 is $400. HomePod's $350. I want to review the iMac Pro. That's $5,000. I don't make that in a month. Like, my income doesn't really make that an easy purchase. That's why I tell everyone this isn't a for sure thing happening. And keep in mind that on top of just the tech channel, I am much more committed to more than just talking about technology. I am focused on the Tailosive Talks channel getting content all the time. I want to provide a way for you guys to contact me and be more interactive, so I have a P.O. box. That's like over $100 a month. I have an editor now because all of my time spent editing is editing Saturday Shorts on the main channel, editing vlogs, editing Hello World, a show where it's edited like a tech video, but I talk about more than just technology. I talk about social commentary. And I'm editing that twice a week. I also have Tailosive Unbox, where I unbox all the mail you guys send me on that channel, and the comedy sketches, again, on the main channel, as well as a lot of time being taken up with Project Photon. Not a lot of money, but just a lot of time and work, and I'm hoping you guys are going to enjoy it. And because I'm editing on Talks on the main channel and trying to expand to, movie reviews, I hired an editor, a great guy who's down south from me. We just met up for the first time. He's amazing, but he's willing to edit my tech videos. I don't make him edit it for free. He's a paid editor. Like, I make sure that every single video he gets compensated for his work. So keep in mind that every time I upload a video, I'm instantly out of money. Like, I have to make something like over 10,000 views on the video before I start to turn a profit. That's why you don't see me skimping out on making videos. Even when I get sick, even when I go on a trip, I don't just leave the channel untouched. I don't leave and say, bye guys, I guess you won't have anything to watch for a week. I have to keep making videos to stay alive, but I am very passionate about this, and the fact is that if I don't make videos, I don't have an income. So I really do appreciate everyone's support, both on Patreon and in the Super Chat. And keep in mind, you are supporting me just by watching. Even if you don't give money in any kind of way, on Patreon or Super Chat or whatever, just watching the videos and sharing them with others is the most massive way you can help, because my goal on YouTube is to make entertaining content that people can find insightful. That's on Talks, that's on the main channel, that's on tech. And if you can spread that to other human beings, that's magical. I have just improved the life. I've provided entertainment and insight and amusement to more human beings. The fact that I'm reaching 35,000 people right now is a dream come true. I never thought I would make it here, but you guys are supporting me in making that happen. So that's why people like Durka, whatever your true name is, I'm very, very grateful for your insanely generous donations. It's clear that you are the takeaway winner. There's no one who donates more than you to this channel, and I'm incredibly grateful that you give so much to me. And I just want you to know, I'm not sitting on my butt all day just raking it in. I don't drive a fancy car. I paid all the money I saved up for college. I ended up not going to college, obviously, and I spent it on my basic Hyundai Sonata. I don't buy super nice clothes. I don't have a super awesome studio. I'm living in an attic right now, There's no insulation in here. And I am still in my parents' house, but they're making me pay rent and my phone bill. So it's not like I'm just living life basically. Like I have plenty of expenses, and I still, I have a beautiful girlfriend that I want to support and make sure she is treated like a queen as well. So there's a lot of financial battles in my life right now, but I just want you guys to know that means a lot to me. Anyway, that's my ramble on how the money for this channel works. Do you compensate Dan? He's been doing a good job lately. No, I do not compensate Dan because he runs his own channel. I do not own the movie reviews channel. I know I'm a part of it, but I have told Dan that I want him to create an audience for himself. And while I do shout out Tailosive movie reviews quite often, I told him, if you want to become a good YouTuber, you have to push yourself and make sure that you are raking in like, what do you say? One video a day, and with Dan, I at least negotiated weekdays because he recently quit college. He decided he didn't want to go back, but he's working full time. He's where I was a year ago. I was working full time and doing YouTube as a part-time job, which makes us very busy. But I think over time we get better at making content as it becomes more in a routine. That's what I think Dan is in the middle of right now. He's experimenting. He's pushing himself and making sure he makes 5 videos a week on weekdays. And on top of that, he's working full time at a grocery store here in Oroville. And he's doing good. Yes, he's been doing a great job. But I want his channel to pay for himself because that's what I went through and that's how I came to this place. So you support the Tailosive gaming channel? Yeah. Well, it's kind of a mystery right now what'll happen to the gaming channel. You want to see my girlfriend? She's on the Tailosive Talks channel all the time. Subscribe to Tailosive Talks if you want to see me with my girlfriend. Okay. Your content is great. Thank you very much. What if Durka is Tim Cook? If he is, tell him to release the copyright claim I've got on my last video. I just talked about that giant rant about how I work so hard to make content. It's great when you're talking about how great Apple is, and then they show up and say, no, you didn't make that. I'm going to make all the money off your last video. So today's video made nothing. So that was a big slap in the face. There's your comment. You say, I love your work, Drew. I will keep donations up because I know how hard you actually work to keep up with bills and other things, and you may need money for it. Keep up the good work, man. Thank you very much, Durka. I appreciate that. And even if life happens, you can't donate, don't worry about it. There's no pressure to give. You could never donate again, and I'd still be grateful. Okay. Love your vids. Make a collab. I'd like to. Is Tailosive Production still the thing? Can you give us a hint towards tomorrow's short? Yeah. Tailosive Productions has no further plans. It might be discontinued altogether and turned into something else. But I will give you one teaser for... Well, it's not tomorrow, actually. Well, I guess it is tomorrow now because it's technically Friday because it's past midnight. But tomorrow's Saturday short. There's your hint. That's what happens. Something to do with that. It's funny to hear you say Durka. Oh, how do you pronounce it? I don't know how you pronounce it. Should I buy the Mac Mini now? No, I don't think anyone should buy the Mac Mini. Would you buy/build a Hackintosh? I have. I know a lot of people don't know this. Back when I had a gaming PC, I had one for a year. I followed so many tutorials. I watched so many hours of videos on how you design a Hackintosh. It destroys the point of having a Mac. The point of a Mac is that it's simple. You plug it in and it works. Okay, see, he says I'm pronouncing it right. But when I try to, I don't get the drivers right. They tell me, here's the drivers you need and it'll work. And I get those and they still don't work. The point of a Mac is that it's simple to use. And a Hackintosh is complicated in certain instances and simple in others. And that shows that the experience is not consistent. That's what I didn't like about it. Like, I got all the right drivers. Everyone said, this is what you got to install. I installed them, and internet still didn't work, audio still didn't work, visuals still didn't work. And I was like, this isn't what a Mac is. This isn't what a Hackintosh is. It's not just a Mac is not all about the software. It's about the hardware and software optimizing each other. You should get a new TV. I really have no complaints with this one. I know it's just 1080p, but I don't have internet to watch anything better. So spending $600, $700 on something the same size that's 4K would be a waste to me. You know, I bought this one on Facebook yard sale. Did not buy this brand new. It was $200 for a 55-inch 1080p TV. Looks great. Hook it up to all my speakers here. It sounds amazing. Has my Apple TV hooked up to it. I love this setup. Didn't cost that much at all. Collab with MKBHD. Yeah, if he answer me, I'd love to. I watch all his videos. I don't agree with him on much, but I still watch everything. I would love to collaborate with him, but he's way bigger than me. That'll never happen. Get an 8K TV? Oh, Charles, stop. I'm not buying an 8K TV. Probably in the next 10 years I won't buy an 8K TV. Do you know if Macs and iMac Pro will have a 120 hertz display? I do not, but probably not. If so, it would be the best displays available because there are barely any 2K displays above 120 hertz on the market. 5K with 120 hertz doesn't exist. Yeah, it still doesn't exist, so I don't think the new iMac Pro will be like that. I think they would have told us. What was your reaction to the money? What money? You mean the donations? I'm very grateful. I thought I was accurate with my reaction. I'm not gonna explode. Oh my God! So much donation. I'm grateful, but it's just it's not like an exciting moment. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna go out and buy a bunch of things. No, it's more of a moment of relief to find out, like, oh good, I live streamed and now I can pay off rent this month. That's what it is. Zach, TV has this. That is a great question. What did he say? Where is he? I don't see him. Do you think you will get to the iMac Pro? I sure hope so. It depends on the success of the channel, as I said, but it definitely not going to happen if Apple keeps putting copyright claims on my videos. But I don't think they will. I think today's video is just a one-time thing. So I will say, please do not use ad block. That hurts creators, especially small ones like me. But if you do use ad block, and I can't stop you, use it on today's video about Apple's sales, because Apple put a copyright claim on that video, and that's not cool. Oh, there's Zach TV. He says, do you recommend using my Apple Watch without protection? Do you have any scratches or cracks on yours? I do. Back when I worked at the Mandarin Ranch, I was building a fence. I basically built a giant 5-acre fence like myself. And while working with the fencing, part of it scratched and dinged the top of my Apple Watch. But it's hardly noticeable. It's not over the display. If you follow me on Instagram and Twitter, you've seen what my Apple Watch looks like. It's not a noticeable scratch. I personally don't like the way screens look with screen protectors on them. I would rather have a display that has light scratches than a screen protector, because it changes the texture, it changes the look. I don't like that. And the same goes for Apple Watches. For the most part, if you just use Apple Watch, if you just use an Apple Watch regularly, you just go to work at an office or go to college, or you're self-employed like me, you're probably not going to have many scratches on the Apple Watch. The only time I've scratched my Apple Watch is I was filming a movie a long time ago, and in the movie I fell down on a asphalt and I slammed my Apple Watch against the street, and it scratched the top of it, but it was still barely noticeable. And then this time I was, working fencing, and that metal scraped across the watch and left a mark on it. It's still there, but it's hard to notice. So I wouldn't recommend it, but if you work in a job where there's a lot of manual labor, or a lot of working with hazardous conditions and stuff like that, I used to take my Apple Watch off at work all the time because we mixed a lot of concrete, and I didn't want concrete getting on it. But even sometimes I would leave it on because I was like, well, it was waterproof. I can probably clear the concrete out of it. How much do you make on average per video? I'm considering starting my own channel as a hobby and hoping to grow it into a second income. Well, Eric Martin, understand that it does variate from person to person. Don't look at channels as in like he has 35,000 subscribers, therefore he makes this much money. This channel has 1 million, therefore they make this much money. It's subscribers do not relate to how much money you make, first of all. And it's also not per video. Some channels upload one video every 2 weeks, and that's what they live off of. Other channels upload every day, like me. So it varies, but if you want my direct answer, it changes a lot because the views change a lot, but I'd say on average I make like, I don't know, it's hard to say because some videos do super well and others don't do well at all. I don't know, $20, not a crazy amount. It's probably not even minimum wage. And yes, I have the 42 millimeter. Drew. My dad is using a Note 3 and hates Apple. Also, you're awesome. Great, Cole. Congratulations. Drew, what are your thoughts on a 4K Apple Watch? Oh my God. That comment's going to make me end this live stream. We're long over an hour now. Let's wrap it up. I got to go to bed. I'm very tired from Project Photon. Why did Apple copyright my video? Because my editor, and I'm not blaming him, he did a great job editing this. And I absolutely loved his work, and I still do, and I would have made the same mistake. It's not even really a mistake. It's a mistake on Apple's part. He was talking about the Apple ecosystem in my last video, so he used a clip from Apple's YouTube channel, and he credited them in the corner. It says source from Apple, of the iOS 11 introduction, where it shows all the iOS 11 like on the iPad and people using it. He was just showing that footage, and apparently Apple put a copyright claim on that, so I didn't make any money off of the video, even though that was like 10 seconds. It was nothing. Okay, Drew, if you could produce your own Apple TV show, please. Do they have no idea what they're doing? What would be the premise? Okay. All right, Uncle Jerry. So hold on to questions for a second. This is a good one. Because for those who don't know, I want to be a filmmaker. I always want to make tech videos on the side, but ultimately I want to tell stories and I want to build an audience. So, my dream scenario is if Apple approached me and said, do you want to make an original, like, Apple TV only show that's on exclusively for Apple Music or whatever, something like that. There's a video game franchise that was exclusive to iPhone that they used to demo the insane graphics of the iPhone. It's called Infinity Blade. For those of you who don't know, Infinity Blade is a really cool game with it's very basic interaction, but it had a great story because in between the games that came out, there were books. And I don't read a lot of books, but I read these. They were good. They had characters in them with backstories about each generation, another knight would approach the God King and try to take him down, but he couldn't. And if Apple realized that Infinity Blade was an exclusive feature and content story just for the Apple ecosystem, what if we recreated that show, with red cameras? It's shot in 8K, 60 FPS, high-end production value, and we tried to recreate that franchise, except instead of making one game, one book, one game, one book, one game, which is what happened, 2 books, 3 games, we tried to tell the whole story in a matter of 5 seasons or so. And we, recurring characters and actors. The lore they built within that game is so cool. I really got into the books, and I'm not a reader. That's why I know it's successful, and I love those apps. They're really successful. So if I was going to pitch something to them, that's what it would be. And I've actually, for those of you who don't know, write scripts as well. I want to tell stories in the future. That's one that I have a lot of ideas for. I have a lot of intentions of, like, what a TV show or movie of the Infinity Blade saga could be. So there you go. There's your pitch. Yeah, I'm 19 years old. Can you use your wall as a green screen so there's something new? I've tried to use my wall as a green screen. It doesn't work. I know it's green, but that's not how simple green screens are. Okay. Emperor Palpatine says, unlimited power! Oh, I love you. Anyway, by the way, Refried Friday is coming back. A lot of people kept commenting, bring back Refried Friday, so I'm doing it. You'll see that today. Technically, because it's past midnight. So, next video to be up will be Refried Friday. Its return, hopefully for good. We'll see if I can keep up with it. Hope you guys enjoy it tomorrow. Nate, it's kind of funny to think about it. I'm live streaming to you, but Nathan is editing tomorrow's video right now. That's kind of trippy. Like 2 people working on it. I guess it's not that. And yes, Tailosive Unboxed is also coming out tomorrow. All of the information. And yes, Scott Sullivan, we got your package. Dan is very happy with it. And yes, we unboxed that in Tailosive Unboxed, which you will see tomorrow. Well, today, I guess. So thank you, everyone, for your donations, and thank you for all your questions. I'm going to miss you, too, Stefano. Can't wait for Retired Friday. Yeah, no, really, Retired Friday. So I wish I could stream longer, but I am pooped from Project Photon, so I'm unfortunately going to be heading to bed and be working on more and more content for you guys. So thank you for all of your support. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Good night.